talent in it.
Especially that they got Edge on there. They have Randy on there.
Booker, the Hardys.
And we also know it was on April 1st. That's Randy Orton's birthday.
Yeah, so he would have been 27. Because he turned 40 this past week.
Yep. Shout out to Mr. Orton.
Getting into the match, Kennedy would be the first competitor to go for a ladder, and Orton would see this and stop him immediately. Everyone else would just brawl. They'd all take it to the outside, and while everyone was fighting, Finlay would do a crossbody off the top turnbuckle on everybody, of all people. Edge would be the first person in this to attempt to climb the ladder, but Matt Hardy, though, would stop him. Then Finlay and Orton would both climb up and start hitting each other. Oh, do you want to add something?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, I thought you did, so I stopped. The ladder would tip over, and they'd take the fight out of the ring. Then next, Jeff Hardy would climb the ladder, and Mr. Kennedy would tip it over, but Hardy would come back and knock him down. There'd be a bit of a funny moment where Booker would grab a small step ladder from underneath the ring and would look at it in confusion and start to say, "Tell me I didn't just see that," but he didn't actually finish the statement, because then Punk would hit Booker from behind and grab the step ladder and hit him with it. He'd hit Booker in the gut with it, Orton in the head with it, Finlay, then he'd hit Booker again. Then Edge would take it from Punk and just throw it at his head.
Yeah, that was funny.
This would bust him open, so he probably didn't think this was too funny. A ladder match would be... Not a ladder match. A ladder would be wedged in between the ring and barrier, which, whenever that happens, that never ends well for someone.
No, and Edge was the one that set it up.
Yeah, so karma, I guess. Then in the ring, Booker would take over, delivering spine busters and kicks to everyone in sight. He'd hit the spinneroonie to get a pop from the crowd. Then the Hardys would come back in the ring and sandwich Booker in between the two ladders. Edge would try to get involved, but Matt would hit Edge with the side effect. Then both Matt and Jeff would attempt to do the same ladder spot that destroyed Joey Mercury's face to Edge, but Finlay would interfere with those plans and knock Jeff Hardy off the top. Edge would then suplex Matt into the ladders.
Yeah, ow.
Kennedy would toss Edge out of the ring. Then Kennedy would look to hit the Kenton bomb on Matt, who was placed on top of a ladder, but would miss, and the back of his neck would catch the ladder. Ouch again.
Yeah.
Then Jeff Hardy would re-enter and hit the Swanton bomb on Kennedy. From there, we'd see more Hardy Boys teamwork. Then a ladder would be set up in the middle of the ring, and both Matt and Jeff would climb to the top. They'd both start trading blows up there with one another, which I actually didn't remember that happening until I went back and rewatched it just recently for this. Because I never remembered the Hardy Boys actually fighting in this at any point.
All I remember is Matt Hardy directing traffic.
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty of going back and doing stuff like this and just rewatching things, because no matter how many times you watch it, there's always like one little thing that you miss.
Right.
So then Finlay would tip the ladder over. Then Finlay would attack everyone in sight. Then Edge would spear everyone in sight. He'd attempt to hit one on Punk, but he'd leapfrog it and dodge it. Then he'd grab the ladder and put his head in between the steps of the ladder and would swing it around, take everyone out. Then Edge would come back and spear Punk, and that would send the ladder back into Finlay and Orton.
Yeah. Triple kill.
Yeah, triple kill. Edge would go outside the ring and grab the largest ladder there is. My goodness, that thing was tall.
Again. He set it up.
Edge would start climbing. And that thing was like, before I go to the next part, that thing was even like higher than the briefcase was.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
So you didn't have to climb up all the way. So Edge would start climbing, but Randy would tip it over, sending Edge crashing feet first to the outside. That could have been bad.
That's torn ACL waiting to happen.
Uh-huh. Then the next spot was the spot of the match.
Yeah, this is what we kept saying karma for.
Yup. Hardy would have the ring to himself and could, without a doubt, go up there and grab it. But Matt would place Edge on top of a ladder that was wedged in between the apron and barrier. Yep, as we were saying before, or at least as I was saying this part, remember when I said this wasn't going to end well for someone? Well, it didn't end well for Edge. Hardy would climb up the ladder on the side facing away from the briefcase and would jump off and land on top of Edge, crashing through the ladder. Oh my God! As Joey Styles would say.
Let me remind you, this is Matt Hardy telling his little brother to jump off and try to kill himself.
Yep, so he set him up. This would take out both men. Both men would be out of the match. Both would be stretchered off, which I get because I mean, that'd be a perfect way of taking two guys out of the match, but it ended up being kind of meaningless when both guys would show up the next night on Raw. So.
Oh yeah.
Randy Orton would then deliver 3 RKOs in a row. Then Orton would grab a ladder and try climbing it, but Punk would come up from behind and hit him with a ladder. Punk would then set up a ladder of his own and attempt to climb it. Then Orton would climb up the ladder he set up and would deliver an RKO off the ladder. Great spot.
Oh yeah, perfect spot.
Then Orton would try to climb again, but then Booker would hit a bookend off the ladder on Orton.
Yeah, that was definitely innovative.
So Orton's body at this point's got to be taking a lot of punishment.
Yeah, he just jumped off like a solid, what was it, 10 feet twice?
Yeah. 15 feet, actually.
15 feet twice, wow. Total of 30 feet.
Uh-huh. Then Booker would try to climb the ladder and win, but Matt Hardy would grab Sharmell and threaten to hit a twist of fate on her. Booker could have grabbed the briefcase, but Matt coded him into defending Sharmell. Then Matt would hit a twist of fate on Booker and would climb up the ladder. Finlay would tip the ladder over, and Matt would take a nasty bump to the canvas below.
Dude, like, he bounced.
Yeah, he did. And then Finlay would grab Matt and hit him with the Celtic Cross on the ladder.
Yeah, wow, you know what? That's what he gets for telling his brother to jump off that high ladder.
There you go. Finlay at this point would be sporting a pretty bad cut on the top of his head.
Was he one of them that got hit with the ladder?
Yeah, he did get hit with the ladder. I couldn't tell if that's what busted him open, or I don't really remember.
Well, because I just remember he got hit by the ladder, and then you don't see him for a long time until like that Matt Hardy spot. So like, I'm gonna probably guess that was it.
Yeah, probably was. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. You know, it was a ladder and it was off your skull, so yeah, that makes sense. Finlay would be in the ring alone and would take forever to climb the ladder. Joey Styles would try covering this by saying that he's not comfortable on ladders. Hornswoggle would appear from under the ring and would try to help Finlay by climbing the ladder and trying to grab the briefcase, even though there's no way he could reach it. But an A for effort. Kennedy would get back in the ring and Kennedy would get back in the ring and hit Finlay first, and then climb the other ladder. He'd meet Hornswoggle up there. Hornswoggle would punch Kennedy and try to fight him off, but Mr. Kennedy would pick him up and would deliver the Green Bay plunge to Hornswoggle off the ladder.
What a guy.
Oh, shit. Then, in the end, Punk would climb the ladder and look to win, but Kennedy would meet him up at the top and would try to fight with them. Punk would kick him off, and it looked like he was in perfect position to win. Kennedy would actually get back up really quick and would grab a ladder and hit Punk in the face, knocking him off. Mr. Kennedy would go up the ladder, retrieve the briefcase, and would win Money in the Bank. Love this match.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, 4.5.
Thought everyone got their chance to shine and look good in this. Seemed like Kennedy had to be the favorite going into this to win. At least the only logical one.
Yeah, because like at the time, like, you know, Edge already had his moment with Money in the Bank. Randy Orton probably didn't need Money in the Bank, really.
But yeah, he probably didn't need it as much. But I guess you could have made that. You could have made a case there, maybe. And I couldn't see anyone else winning it.
Like Matt and Jeff Hardy were only there because they're ladder specialists.
There you go. Yeah.
That's basically the same. That's basically the reason why Edge is in there too.
Yeah.
CM Punk was just the upstep. uprising star who's from ECW, so he's the first ever ECW guy to ever defeat the match. So there you go.
Although I did hear that they actually at one point did consider having Edge win it again.
Well, I was playing a home game.
But no, it was the right decision at the time. I always liked Kennedy, and it's a shame that he never, got his true push, and his push got killed as many times as it did. Of course, he'd win the match here and would have the briefcase, but an injury Kennedy would sustain would cause WWE to have him drop the briefcase the following month in a match against Edge. Well, there you go. I've heard Kennedy say in a shoot one time that WWE thought the injury would sideline him for months, when it turned out it only sidelined him for about maybe 4 weeks. Shame.
Yeah, so about a month.
Shame.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't even have to lose the briefcase if it was that long. It would be completely unnecessary.
Yeah. So poor management on WWE's part.
Yeah. So Mr. Kennedy would win here, 19 minutes, 9 seconds. 4 1/4 from me, 4.5 from you. Great Money in the Bank. Then following that, sorry.
But then again, now I realize, that was bad. But if that never happened, then Edge and Taker never happens.
Well, that was the other thing. I guess I had heard one time that they were planning on doing Edge and Taker for a year. So they thought about having him win Money in the Bank, and then they'd set it up, and they'd have this thing going for they'd just slowly build to it up for a year. But so it all worked out.
Yeah.
And then Kennedy was supposed to have another push with the illegitimate child angle with Vince, but then that got scrapped as well. The next following Money in the Bank, we'd have footage from the premiere of the movie The Condemned, starring Stone Cold Steve Austin. I guess they said they had over 4,000 people there in attendance in that theater.
That's what they want you to think.
Well, that may have been true. I mean, it's not like it was 100,000 people in there or something.
Right.
Then backstage, we'd have Todd Grisham interview Mr. Kennedy following his Money in the Bank victory. Kennedy would say that nice guys finish last, dead last. Thank God he's not a nice guy. Thank God he's Mr. Kennedy. And thank God he's Mr. Money in the Bank. Bank.
Yeah.
Pretty good promo, I thought.
Well, no, it was very good.
Then next, we'd have an interpromotional singles match between the Great Khali and Kane. How are we going to attack this one?
Great Khali is slow, and that's all you need to know.
No, he's not just slow.
I can't walk.
He can barely walk.
All you need to know is that Great Khali can't walk, and they did not utilize the hook right.
I don't know why they needed to be there in the first place.
Also, he's not on WrestleMania 3.
Oh yeah, well we'll mention that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The match would begin with a tie-up, but Khali would overpower Kane, and Kane would come off the top rope and hit Khali with the shoulder tackle, but Khali would not even move.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. So he tried hitting him with the shoulder tackle, then Khali would knock him down the first time, then he'd go up later on the top rope and would hit him, but he wouldn't even knock him off his feet. That's the thing. He couldn't really sell, obviously, but I think that was part of the deal. So
yeah, at some point though, he does get tangled up in the ropes,
Yeah, Kane would deliver a boot, and Khali would get tied up in the ropes. Then when Khali was tied, Kane would go to the outside and grab his hook from his See No Evil movie.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, no, it was from that, but I still don't understand what the hell it had to do with any of this.
Well,
that was almost a year ago.
Yeah, but I think he was using it, though. I think he was carrying it around him or something like that. I don't know.
The official would get Khali untangled, then Kane would get back in the ring, and Khali would attack. Khali would rip open the turnbuckle, which would distract the ref. The turnbuckle pad, the ref would be distracted temporarily.